Okay, so I'm recording some thoughts here. Um, there's a fascination in the world, particularly the religious world, of characterizing Christ as someone who is very passive, very effeminate, very weak, frail. Um, the imagery is of Jesus being almost like hippie-ish, tiptoeing through the tulips. Everything is about love, almost gay. And the opposite, Satan always uses the polar opposite of everything that's godly. So whatever is being promoted by Satan, we know that the opposite is more than likely true. And so whenever there's this predilection on grace and this religious, ideology of grace and being soft on sin, more than likely, and I just believe in my spirit, and the Bible tells us to try the spirit and to see if they are of God. And I believe that spirit is of the devil, the spirit of compromise, the spirit of placating, the spirit of enablement. These are things that Satan uses to manipulate man out of understanding what the laws and statutes and commandments of God are really about, and understanding that they are more than just really, set of laws. And they establish God's attitude towards sin, towards everything that is unrighteous. And so, this ideology of Jesus and God being just a loving God and loving everybody and accepting everybody. Satan, he loves to pervert. And no word has been more perverted or used more in a perverted sense than love. It is love that the pedophile says out of his mouth that to get a child to feel justified in the ugly acts that he's asking him to do or her to do. It's love that soothes over the consciousness of the homosexual when they are engaged in an act that's unnatural. But they do it and they soothe it over with the word love. So love is the most perverted word. It's that Satan has used to twist God's way. No, what real love is correction. What real love is holding us accountable to righteousness. Now, the function of Christ, he came to bridge the gap between, God's permanent, firm stance on righteousness and our inability, because of the disease of sin, of man's inability to achieve righteousness. And so, what Christ does is he pays the penalty. Yeshua, he pays the cost. He's our salvation. He is the bridge between God and man. It's not God's love. I know the preachers love to say, love held him on the cross and those things. And part of that is true. But then again, we overuse love, and then we tend to pervert that word. Love isn't what we have been taught that it is. Love is correction. Love hurts. Love is painful. Love is true. Love holds you accountable to the truth. Love is about righteousness. Love is not about happiness. Love is about righteousness. Love is about truth. And so, as I'm sitting here, the imagery of Christ, the imagery of the world's image of Jesus is, Caesar Borgia, faggoty, homosexually Jesus, is the complete opposite of what Jesus and Christ, Yeshua, who he really was. He was a man's man. He was a man of principle. He was a man not of perception, but of principle. He was a rule follower. He was a law keeper. And it's important when we characterize Christ, particularly when we're teaching our children about Jesus. Don't let the world teach your children about Jesus, about Yeshua, about the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Don't let the world do it. We do it. And when we do it, we teach them correctly that pretty much whatever is being touted as Christ is more than likely, not more likely, usually is, not usually, it is the opposite. I got to get used to not using these qualifying words, this Americanized vocabulary. We like to blur the lines and make for possibilities of half-truths when the very thing that I'm trying to convey in this talk is that, God's righteousness is objective. It's not subjective at all. It has nothing to do with what you think or your truth or what you perceive. It has everything to do with the foundational aspect of God. Morality is not up for interpretation. Morality is what God says. Bottom line, simply put. And where grace comes in is grace through Christ, through Yeshua, through the Messiah, the Mashiach, through him. He bridges all of the gaps that man is incapable of bridging on his own because of his inability to listen, his inability to follow Christ. And so, I'm going to say this talk every time I'm doing something significant for the Most High. You can always count on Satan, using whatever avenues possible. We need to understand this as I close. Satan is petty. Satan will use whatever is available, and often in times, I liken it to like a child. Working with children, you begin to pick up on the very manipulative ways that children will even leverage their own childishness and use it to manipulate and use it as an advantage. Once a person becomes aware that they are able to manipulate a situation, men in their ungodly state will do it. And children do it all the time. They play the roles that they know that society has set for them and allowed them a sense of safety to operate, and then they manipulate those things in order that they might convey a false sense of innocence, but all the while they are just as deviant as anyone else. And it's tough sometimes to navigate through that professionally, but spiritually it's very easy to see. And one of the great giftings the Most High has blessed me with is the ability to discern. I always understand spiritual. I understand spiritual more than natural. I get spiritual more than natural. My world is spiritual. And so because of that, I feel it a burden on my heart to make sure that the believers understand and know what is working against you. Hear all this chatter. This never happens. When I'm in here by myself, there's never any chatter. But as soon as I'm sharing the word of the God, the Most High, here is all this chatter outside of the door. And so this is a prime example as to Satan's pettiness. This is a prime example of the spiritual forces that are working, and then I hear those that, well, you want to spiritualize everything and make everything deep, but the fact is, folks, that everything is spiritual. What many preachers or in church organizations and and so-called spiritual leaders are not doing is equipping people with an understanding that there are real demons and that there are real spirits out here that are hostile to your faith. And without that knowledge, it'll be impossible to get anything done for God, because you'll always be in a rift between what you think is natural and what you think is spiritual, and you won't get anything done. But when you know the devices that Satan uses, and when you're not ignorant of Satan's devices, then you are in a prime position to convey spiritual truth and get it out there so that people can understand. So as I close, and this is amazing, this is a great illustration. All of that noise you hear in the background never happens. It never happens until I begin to share. So this is why I'm going to put this out here and let you see that we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. You need to hear this. You need to understand this. There's a perception of God that is false out there. God is not the Most High, Yah. He is not this enabling, placating, false, pseudo, soft God. He is a God of order. He is a God of structure. He is a God of decency. He is a listening God. He is also a gentle God. See, we falsely attribute gentleness with softness. Now, gentleness is actually self-control, and that's the greatest skill that a person can have, is self-control. And just because God isn't booming and using his authority and using his power, unlimited power, to convey a message to you, doesn't mean that God is soft on sin. No, he lets you know what his standard is. He lets you know what you're supposed to do, and then he requires you to do it without unction, without all this fanfare and regalia that people want. Because really all that is selfishness. People just want things to be about them. They want to be able to say God came to them like Paul, and with a shining light and thunder and lightning. No, it's a still small voice. You know what's right. And if you can be convinced otherwise with such easily manipulation, then Satan will always take advantage of you. Satan will always utilize these subtle tactics to get you off of making a firm decision on truth and righteousness. So I'm closing this out to let you see that the Most High is holy. He is righteous. He's not what the world is calling him to be. He is a man's man, masculine. The Most High is masculine, and it's the spirit that this world hates today. But he is masculine. He is a God of order. He cares not about your perception, not about your opinion. He cares nothing about what you think. And this narcissistic, self-serving world loves to compartmentalize God into something that they feel that they can control. And God is not having it, and neither am I. God bless you. May the Most High shine upon you today. This is Mario Jenkins. You can call me pastor or whatever. I don't care about titles. This is Mario Jenkins speaking to you. Be blessed. Have a good day.